And this time in the workshop I've got a little project in. I've been asked to restore a Colster Brands KP36 record player. It's about 50 years old, it's made in Kent, England, in a horrible green drab colour. Oh, the customer wants me to turn it blue and it's given me free rein to do whatever I like with the rest of it. It's probably a good idea to see if this thing works. Always intriguing. Hopefully no smoke comes out if I turn it on. Oh, I can hear humming. That's encouraging. An amplifier's working, an early transistor one in this case. I can hear a motor going, which is also not terrible, but there's no motion here at all. Doesn't seem to be right. Another thing to check is that the cartridge makes any noise. I'm not surprised, very much often these things are dead, these early crystal cartridges. So, on with the teardown. Well, the lid's got to come off first. Luckily it's just held in with screws. But these hinges do look rather rusty. I'll have to see if I can save those later. There's usually not many screws holding these things together, and they're always flat blades of the vintage. It's a good idea to pull these off now. These are the cables to the motor. There's no connector on these, so the best way to deal with this, I found, is just cut them off. They're close to the ends, because you need to, if you leave a bit of the original wire on, you don't make mistakes as to what colour wire went where. Try and get in there. And the black and the brown. There we go. We're free. This will be a BSR UA16 or UA15, classic and typical, very common British record player. Next part is to deal with this electronics. We need to get all that old beautiful amplifier. I've just seen it's built on an old tag board. That's really nice. Can't wait to get my hands on it. I think to get this top off, I think the knobs are going to have to come off. Always an awkward part, this. Although it's not too bad. Oh, these aren't too bad to get off. So that's the amplifier there. Oh, another screw I see there. Cable. This is a novel thing. I've never seen this for speaker mounts. I think they're just like rubber nuts by the looks of it. As we already know, this speaker works, so let's not destroy it in the restoration process. An interesting colour, this. Just going to remove the carriage strap now. Just a couple of nuts, not too bad to get off. Don't forget the washers. There we are, a strap. Oh, this front grille's glued on. Oh, this isn't going to go well. Well, I don't like it very much anyway, and it's a bit corroded and scratched. Yeah, it's definitely scrapped now. Yeah. there we have it. It's actually a BSR UA15 SS3. Told you they look familiar, didn't I? This is going to need a good strip down, a good clean. All the old grease is going to have turned into sort of sticky tar and gum this all up. That'll be most of its problems. Hopefully there's not too much wrong. There isn't normally much wrong with these things. So that's the teardown complete. This is the worst part of any record player restoration, getting that old rec scene off. Some parts just fall off and other bits really fight you. Even this foam's glued down, blimey. I summarise this technique as stab, gouge and rip. Oh, watch your fingers, Mark. When it's really stuck on, best to sand it off, honestly. Now we've done all the sanding, something I need to really address is to see if there's any damage to the wood. A piece of the plywood's actually broken off. So it's not too much of a problem, but I think I am going to repair that, splice a bit more timber in. It's also delaminating in the odd place. So I just inject some glue where it's not looking too good. Try and inject some glue under this gap where it's you know, where the glue's failed in this plywood. It's not a particularly smart way of doing it. I think you just got to try and sort of stuff the glue in there as best as you can. Probably doesn't need much glue really. Okay. And the same story in this part here. This corner's also got a bit delaminated. Not so bad than the others. We're trying to get a bit of glue in there. It's almost worth breaking it a bit more, just so we can get some glue in it. That's it. That's got some in. Okay. Well, leave that to set for a bit. To address this little bit that's missing here, rather than try and cut a piece out of the bandsaw, I'm just going to use a bit of like pine veneer. Cut that out there. Okay. How to find the end? I think it's about there. About there. So it's going to want to follow this grain anyway, so might as well just cut it like that. There we are. Fairly nice job. Just smear a little bit of glue on there. Don't need a lot. Just spread that with this little, whatever, palette knife I think this was. I did have a set of them, but this is all that's left. Then another bit of glue on top of that. A nice job, I think. Get the excess off, otherwise I'll glue it to the clamps. I found that out because I've glued many things to my clamps. Just clean all the glue off everything. Worst part about the wood filler is it stinks, but it's a two-part thing. You mix two bits together and it goes off quite quickly, does the job. Let's just get this done. Now, it's got some rather strange instructions. It tells you on here to take a piece of the wood filler out the size of a golf ball. Well, I don't want a golf ball, I mean. And then pour 50 to 70 millimeters in length of the hardener. Looks like we're going to be guessing. Hardener, but it's not gone hard already. Let's get this stinky stuff open. Whoa. Ooh, goopy. It's not set rock hard yet, so that's encouraging. And I'm going to say that that's plenty. And it's nowhere near a golf ball. So I'm going to pour nowhere near 50 to 75 mil. I think that's it. A guess. Might have my work cut out doing this. These pads, by the way, are brilliant. A friend of mine showed me these pads are used, and they're great for mixing things on because they're like waterproof, like they're greased or something, like plastic sheets. And when you're done with it, you just peel it off and you've got a new layer. Onion board it's called. And I think for what we need, because we're going to cover it, it's as simple as that really. The lid's got the exact same damage on it, so I'm going to do the exact same treatment. I've made this little plan as to what I'm going to do for the pattern on this record player. I'm going to use the blue and white Rexine patterns to generate what is a nice sort of 60s retro style. The Rexine I've got is this nice blue sort of Rexine, which is quite, they still get hold of it. And also this is actually wallpaper, but it's got a nice sort of pattern similar to some Rexine I've seen before. But it's together it looks damn good, so I'm going to get on with it. I'm going to start with the lid, because the lid's generally quite a nice easy place to start. Get your eye in with how to lay this Rexine on. Brush on a nice even layer of PVA glue, great for sticking this down with. Try not to get any creases or air bubbles underneath this. It's a bit of an art. I find it easier just to trim these as I go along. Well, did I say I make it up as I go along? Probably true. The corners can be really fiddly. Never quite know what to do with them. One of the things to realise here is that you're actually covering up all of the little screw holes in the case. They can be quite hard to find again after you've covered it. The inside of the lid can be quite difficult because it's the back of the hardboard, it's all very sort of absorbent and lots of little dimples in there. So you need to put a lot of glue. You need extra care not to get any wrinkles in the Rexine on the inside. And same again, just wash it down in PVA glue. Damn it, chasing those pesky air bubbles out. Get them all to the edge, that's the key. It's always best to do the inside corners separately. Use little pieces and just trim them to the exact size. Always get a better result that way. The bottom is ever so slightly curved, so I'm having to put little cuts in the Rexine just so it overlaps. Attention to detail. Before the glue dries completely, best to trim it to the exact size you want right now. The rough bits will just wipe off with a rag, I hope. The inside of the case is awkward to work on, so definitely do the corners first. I'm doing this inside in white. The sides are definitely the hardest part to do. Now that the case is well underway, it's time to turn some attention to the ugly knobs on this thing. Really not a fan. I'm going to add some aluminium discs to them and dome them. It's going to really make these look a lot nicer. To save myself getting in some trouble later on, when I put these discs in, I'll probably need to take them in and out a few times to get them spot on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole through the centre of here, so I can actually poke something up there to push the discs out if I need to. I'm going to make the domes out of this thin aluminium. It's 0.5mm thick, it's easy to work with. To cut the holes, I'm going to use these hole punch sets. These are dead easy to use. And to dome it, I'm going to use this doming punch set and just mash it in there. I'll show you. Put the punch in. It's very hard. And we're through. Perfect. Nice job. Now we take this this block full of lots of sized different like semicircles or spheres, and so we'll use the biggest one on here. We'll put our disc inside, get the punch on there, just give it a few taps, just work the tool around, and there we have a lovely dome. Just needs to be polished up now. Trying hard not to burn my fingers whilst doing this. It gets very hot very fast. And without any doubt in my mind, these make quite a difference. Beautiful. Much better. Bit of chemistry now though, because that aluminium won't stay that shiny for long, it will sort of tarnish and go a dull colour, so it's not to be plated. The problem you've got, something like nickel plating, it won't stick to aluminium, so you've got to first put a layer of zinc on there, in this zincate solution. The zincate strips the aluminium oxide away, it's quite a caustic solution, and then it's depositing this zinc on top, giving it this dull grey colour. You have to wash it off quite a lot, so you don't want to contaminate your next stages with it. The next stage is to plate it with copper, but using an alkaline copper solution which won't rip the zinc off. Once it's got the copper plating on, then you can just plate it with whatever you like. In this case, I'm going to be using nickel. And let's not forget all the other parts as well. They're all a bit manky. And they've got to start off by going in an acid X solution. So this is basically hydrochloric acid. Just get all the grease and just loose parts off. Ready for going in the nickel plating bath. And don't they look good? Almost like chrome. The trouble with the dome shape is you trap an air bubble underneath, so it won't plate the inside of this. It's not a problem though. And here's all the fittings with fresh nickel plating on. Looking good. For the front grille, I'm cutting some decorative steel sheet. I'm just going to polish it up and spray it with a lacquer just to keep it shiny. This is quite an upgrade on the original aluminium horrible grille. So the new grille is just glued on. It's clamped there and left overnight. Next time we'll be sorting out that BSR turntable and putting it all back together. If you want to know how that turns out, catch out the next episode. If you want to know when that's coming out, subscribe. Catch you next time.